Welcome to the Mindset by Design podcast with your host, the expert Andy Murphy, where you will learn the tips, tricks, and strategies he teaches his world-class clients to give you the skills to dominate any business.
What's going on, Mindset by Design crew, and welcome to episode 272. Hope you're amazing as always. Today, let's start with the date. We're on the 4th of June, 2020. Guess what? I was trying to say that times have got a little bit easier, but it seems to have gone a little bit crazier. You know, we've got Black Lives Matter, cops doing crazy stuff, the world's gone crazy, we got riots everywhere, we got COVID, you get it, right? So I'm sitting here looking right now at the most beautiful scene. It's, I'm in Scotland. Yes, I'm in Scotland. I'll tell you all about it in a second. And, it's bizarre because I'm looking at the most beautiful scene that you can imagine. It's a loch. It's huge. It's beautiful. It looks like the ocean. I'm surrounded by trees and ferns. It's beautiful, right? Is it cold? Yeah, it's Scotland. You know, that's what happens. But it's summer too, but look, it's cold, but beautiful. And it's so interesting. I know the last 6 months you've heard me in Panama, you've heard me in Florida, you've heard me in Colombia, and now you've heard me in Scotland. If you've never been, this place is really cool. It's really cool. It's cold, yeah, cool, but it's also really cool. It's just beautiful. If you don't like the rain, a little bit of cool, then this isn't the place for you. But if you don't mind that and it's just absolutely stunning, then this is the place for you. Scottish people are really, really nice. So if it's on your bucket list, you definitely need to get here. And I'll tell you all about why I'm here in a second. But I just want to make sure that you're keeping up to date with the awesome episodes. As I put so much into these episodes, you gotta listen because they're going to help you so much, especially 271. I've had so much feedback on it. Is dopamine upgrading or destroying you? Dopamine is such a chemical in our brain that drives us. You need to listen to that episode. It's going to make you rethink how your brain is wired and what's motivating you. Also, I want to make sure that you're checking out 270, which is EQ Mastery. That's emotional intelligence, right? If you haven't got clear ability around your emotional intelligence, then you're not going to get the results that you want. And 270, I go over it all. And then we go to 269, and I cover lots of NLP basics with you. So, hey, that's cool. And then episode before that, you might want to check out too, especially if you're new to the Mindset by Design podcast. Why? Because I get interviewed, and it's a cool interview. It's by my mate Jeff Fowden, and he gets to learn lots about me. And yeah, it's a good episode. But it's not about me, it's about you. And what I want to make sure today is that we keep it light. So what I'm showing you is an episode that I recorded on a Sunday morning coffee with Steph. And it was the last time we went to Scotland, you know? And some of you will have heard it, some of you not, but it's light, it's fun. We should explain the whole trip in such incredible detail, from castles to everything. I just wanted to keep everyone's emotion high vibing right now because we need it. Do you know what I mean? And the reason I'm in Scotland is because of the COVID, yeah. And borders are closed all around the world. So guess what? Well, it was time to go and, bounce and see the family. So guess what? We got to do 2 months quarantine. So I found out within 48 hours that I had to leave the country because the rules around borders and flights and everything just changed so fast. So within 48 hours, I was in Scotland. And what was wild about it was not that coming to Scotland, but the actual travel. I don't know if you're in the incubator group, but I posted a little video in there of me sitting in the plane all masked up. And yeah, if you follow me on Instagram and everything, you will have seen the stories. of me actually traveling back, and it was wild. The airports were empty. The planes were half capacity. It was crazy to look on the, the big screens where they show all the flights, and there's usually like 5 screens all lit up with hundreds of flights, and there's like one, and half of the flights are only there. It was bizarre. It was also bizarre going through because people, I don't know if you can keep everything clean, man. You don't know if you can keep everything clean. And I really don't know if people are treating the masks as like they should. So I'm safe. I'm quarantined. I feel good. But you know what I mean? It's very interesting times. It really, really is. Oh, and if you can hear the noise in the background, welcome to Scotland. That's rain, and it's blasting down. But hey, that's why we're here. Today we're going to keep it fun, we're going to keep it light. And speaking of fun and light, it's that's how we want your business brain, and I want to help you do that. There's a couple of ways that I know are going to help you no matter what. Whether you're in a dip in your business, you're looking for the next angle, the next income stream, how to pivot, or your business is booming and you want to make sure that you continue this momentum. Well, I'm a mental strategist and performance expert trainer mentor for a reason. 18 years all around the world has taught me a lot of stuff working with the best in the world, and I just want to help you. I've probably got 1 or 2 spaces to mentor with me personally. So you definitely can apply for that. We've got some nice discounts going on now. The other side of it is that we've got the top 1% top 1%. I suppose that's what it is. The top 1% performer formula, which is a 12-week incredible combination between mastermind, mentoring, and training all in one place, designed to optimize entrepreneurs or business owners at any level. Why? Well, one reason. I believe entrepreneurs are the future. They're the people who are going to change this economy, change the world. And the truth is, everyone does skill sets in business, sports, but just because people have got a brain, they really think they know how to train it. If you don't do martial arts and you've watched all the martial arts films, it doesn't mean you can do martial arts, right? If you've watched tennis and you think you can play tennis, you can't. And it's the same with the brain. If you don't train it the right way, you are not going to perform at the highest level. It's just a fact. So connect with me and I'll show you all the different options to be able to take your game to the next level. Also, make sure that you're heading over to the show notes, not just to apply for that now, but you're also applying or clicking the link at least for the world-class performer audio. This is alpha waves, me guiding your brain every morning to take your whole momentum, drive, business belief, money belief, confidence, motivation to a whole new level as we rewire your unconscious mind. Sound good? Good, it should. And make sure you're also hanging out in the Facebook Incubator group. We've got over 3,000 people in there all hanging out, kicking ass, and I'm going to be starting some trainings again in the next couple of weeks because, I've got some time while we're over here. So enjoy today, hit those show notes up, let's step up, let's do something different, grab this opportunity while I can connect with you even personally, and I hope you enjoyed today's episode. So let's go and explore Scotland with Stephanie and myself. What's going on, Mindset by Design crew, and welcome to episode 213. As you can tell, it's Sunday morning again, right? So we're here in a coffee shop. That's why you got all of this awesome background noise. And rather than doing a separate intro, I just thought I might as well do it here. It's a pretty cool episode today. Obviously, if this is the first time that you're listening to Mindset by Design, then welcome. Always nice to have a new listener. And the thing is, this isn't a normal episode. This is a new feature that I've introduced, and it's the Sunday morning coffee with Steph and me, right? Awesome feedback it was last time. People seem to love it. So, yeah, this is 213 episodes deep, but guess what? We're still coming up with awesome stuff. And I rant on for like an hour. Well, I don't just rant on. You're going to meet Stephanie again, and yes, she rants on too. And so we've got an hour episode of just breaking down our whole Scotland trip, right? And yeah, it's obviously talking about mindset. We're building it in and perspectives and shifting all that the way through the whole episode. I know you're going to love it, but I just wanted to do a quick intro, say hello, and make sure that you're loving the previous episode, 212. It's full of quotes, it's full of brilliant people, and you're going to love it too. So this isn't a normal episode, and if this is the first time that you're listening, as I say, it's what we're all about here on Mindset by Design. Is about building new beliefs, new ways of thinking, feeling, and acting using NLP, which I'm a world-class expert at, Neuro-Retraining, which are my own personal systems, neuroscience, gamification, behavioral psychology, and anything that retrains the conscious, unconscious mind and really creates world-class performance. So, again, a little bit different because we've always had world-class guests on, and so go back, use this as a library, and make sure that you just pull an episode out, see what vibes with you, and go through your own little training camp. So I'm going to shut up. We're going to jump into today's episode because I know you're going to love it. Make sure that you're hitting up the show notes, checking out what link you're ready to step up to, and I will see you on the next episode. Make sure you're jumping into the incubator group and finding me on all social media. Hope you love it. This is Sunday Morning Coffee, episode 2, and we're going to be in Scotland. So crew, what's going on? We're still in Chester. The Sunday morning coffee number 2. Pretty cool. Everyone did such good feedback with last time, but you know all about that because I've done a cool intro. But how's it going, Steph?
It is going amazing. So today we tried to go to our regular coffee shop, but we ended up going to a different one. But sometimes when things don't work out the way you planned, it's actually great because this place is really, really cool and it's fun to try something new.
That's a brand new coffee shop too, called Chalk. So if you're around in Chester, check it out. I think it opened like 2 days ago or something. It's pretty cool.
And if you're American, he said chalk, like what you write on a chalkboard with.
I didn't. I said chalk. That's the pronunciation. We invented this stuff. So what we were looking at doing today is like we were thinking about what to talk about, and there's so many different topics. I was looking at trending. Obviously, this is a new concept they came up with. So we're looking at what's trending on Google. I was looking at what's trending on YouTube. I was looking at what's trending on Yahoo. I was looking at what's trending on BuzzFeed. And guess what? It all just sucked. It was either sports or it was either just someone getting blown up. So there wasn't the path we were going to. So.
And since we couldn't find a good topic online, it dawned on me, oh my God, we just went on the most epic journey and adventure in Scotland. And I would so love to share this whole adventure with you. We did so many amazing things, right, Andy?
Well, the thing is, it was for Steph's birthday. I'm actually eating avocado on toast as we talk, and I'm drinking a big pot of green tea. So I'll take a photo and I'll put it into the incubator group. But it was Steph's 40th birthday. Yeah, she's looking and getting old. Joking.
Ha ha.
Looks
not funny.
She got those Latin genes, so she's good. She's going to be like 180 and still look like 20. So But you always had a like a burning desire to go to Scotland, right? Because the thing about Steph, as you'll learn, is one, she was a professional researcher, some of the top health people in the world for years, but also she's obsessed with history.
I am. It's a total obsession. Yeah, so one of the main reasons why I wanted to go to Scotland is because, number one, I was going to be here in England already, and we were celebrating my birthday. We wanted to go somewhere, and as you guys know, Andy just had surgery on his knee. So we toyed with the idea of going to Spain and going all these places, but we thought, you know what, let's go somewhere where we know is a little bit closer, just in case, you know, his knee isn't 100% where, because like in Spain you have to walk a ton, and we actually did end up walking a ton in Scotland anyway, and his knee was completely fine. But it again, this is another thing where it's like you end up having one option, you change to another option, it ends up being the best thing in the world. And like Andy said, I love history, and it's just full of history. So, go ahead.
No, I wasn't going to say anything. I was going to say something, but then carry on. You were in flow. I broke it.
So, one of the coolest things we did, honestly, we did so many things. First of all, if you've never been to Scotland, it's very, very beautiful. It looks like a fairy wonderland with mist coming off the trees, and just everywhere you look, there's waterfalls, just random waterfalls on the side of the road all over the place.
Waterfalls, check this out. The waterfalls are, waterfalls are, they're not going down. They're going sideways.
Well, some of them do. Some of them go down. A lot of them go sideways.
But they're not going down the mountains. They're going like along the mountains. It's
almost like a river rapid, but it's more of a waterfall where it's like mini cliffs. So they're sideways. We're probably butchering this for you guys, but basically they go sideways, but it's like off of cliffs, and very rocky, and I just can't explain how beautiful it is.
The topography is very rugged.
Yes, very rugged topography. So, and again, Andy's eating his avocado toast, so if you hear him eating, that's why. It's just real today, y'all. So, anyways, the first thing that we did, we saw some of those waterfalls, and the second thing that we did was we went to these epic burial grounds, and I think we always here are turning things back to mindset and how the mind works, right? So these burial grounds were built over 5,000 years ago, and the amount of time, effort, energy, and work that went into building these things was absolutely incredible. And when you think about that, these people had little more than flint tools, deer antlers, the wheel, and just their own hands, arms, and legs and feet to take them places. Imagine what they were capable of doing.
So this isn't. So we've got a little list here, right? Because we want to go through the whole journey with you. And so you're just talking about. Well, I think you've jumped one, right? Yeah, we haven't talked about Wales yet.
About what?
Wales. We haven't gone into Wales.
That was not really Scotland, though. So that's why we jumped into Scotland.
It was the trip. Let's talk about Wales. Wales is cool.
So, well, this is a cool thing too, you guys. If you're not a traveler, and this whole traveling world is very new to me. I would say in the last 4 years, that's really when I've been traveling more extensively. And so, imagine that I've been here for 4 weeks about in the UK, and I've already been to 3 different countries. So I literally got off the plane, went to England, and then about 8 hours later, after I got off the plane, we were in Wales, which is a whole other country.
What's crazy is that Ruffin Castle's in Wales, and I remember going there like I was about 8 years old because they do a tour around this thing because it's a real castle, you know, and I just never thought about it because I grew up around here, so all this old history, the 5,000-year-old stuff, like buildings that you're just staying in that are like from the 1600s, and you're just hanging out around amphitheaters, walking around. It's just normal, and so Ruffin Castle to me was like, it's like whatever. But it's funny because it's where I grew up around here, but I come back to the UK and I'm like a tourist now. People talk to me about what's going on in the UK. I have no idea. Like no idea what's happening in sport, in politics. I just have no idea. And it's funny when you think about Rough and Castle in these places, your brain is giving you the interpretation or the perception of when you were a kid. So it's just like, oh, it's Rough and Castle. No, it's a freaking castle. It's epic.
Yeah, and well, and the thing is that there are other castles that aren't true castles. I didn't know this, so I don't know if any of you guys know this, but there's some that are just like made in like the 1800s, 1700s, but they're not real castles. So this one's a legit castle that started in like the 1000s.
And what was cool there? Besides the grounds were cool, weren't they? Because we went down the burial chamber. We got
not the burial chamber. We went into, actually we did see a burial chamber, but that was from the 1800s. But we went into the dungeon.
That was it.
That's where we went. Was the actual dungeon where they held captors, and it was just eerie, but also really cool.
But the thing about all of these places is that you're gonna have it was a different world. It was a different time, and it's like going to a castle. Is obviously it wasn't just someone's home; it was someone's battleground. So when people were using these places, it was for safety. So if you're getting attacked, then guess what? you've got burial grounds and you've got dungeons. And so it's when you go around these places, it really makes you think about life because it's so brutal. And it was so, I think people probably appreciated life and death very much more than they do today. It's like people who eat meat, right? It's like you go to the supermarket and just get meat. You don't really think about where it's come from. Well, with death, it's kind of the same thing.
So the crazy thing about it is that also these palaces, right? So around the palaces were where the I don't even know what you would call it. I guess the peasants. I don't know if that's the real name, but anyways, the peasants who are very, very poor lived.
That'd be a peasant back then as well. Yeah. We'd all be peasants,
We'd all be peasants.
We still are peasants.
The thing is that what's kind of crazy is that they lived in such luxury and wealth. However, they were literally in like a crystal palace, I guess you could call it, where they couldn't leave. Their lives were in danger. So they had these huge palaces and all this luxury and all this stuff, but they were stuck inside of the walls and the grounds. Don't get me wrong, the grounds are beautiful. But can you imagine for, 20 years of your life from birth till you're 20 years old when maybe you get married and go to another country, and it was probably an arranged marriage, you're stuck inside of these walls because it's just much too dangerous for you to leave.
It's interesting because, like, you've got... I just read Steve Martin's autobiography, or I should say, listen to it. And it was crazy because he said he blew up that fast. He went from nothing and then blew up so fast that they were doing 20,000-seater stadiums for him for his comedy show. And you're thinking this is back in the 80s. That's insane, right? All the money was going to him. And he got so famous, he literally didn't go out for dinner afterwards, he shows, and he was literally ended up being trapped inside of his...
That's exactly what it was like,
because he's famous, because he was ultra famous. So back then, obviously, it wasn't just about fame, it was about, survival, because people probably would try and kill you and take from you and all the rest of it. But what's the difference, right? They were the modern time celebrities, but I suppose the difference is they weren't wielding swords. These days, they're not wielding swords and axes,
Exactly. All right, so we had an amazing time in Wales, and that was epic. But now we can circle back to Scotland and seeing the waterfalls, and specifically to the burial grounds. So we actually went to a couple different burial grounds while we were there, but this one in particular was just absolutely incredible. And just to kind of, again, circle back to what I was saying before, is that it's just incredible what the human mind can achieve and what the human body can do when you have a strong enough why. So these people really held death at a really high status and high level. So they believed that they were taking them to the afterlife, and they had to treat the bodies in a certain way, and they had to be very respectful of them and put them in these epic, amazing chambers just built of stone. And but they did this all by hand. And it's so funny because sometimes we get overwhelmed in our lives now. Like we'll be like, oh my gosh, I just have so much on my plate. I don't know what I can do. But yet we can do everything through an iPhone, through a laptop. We have Wi-Fi. You know, we're sitting here talking to you via podcast. So it's kind of interesting if you can kind of put this into, if you can think about it in this way, how easy our life actually is now and how hard we make it seem.
I think I said that in the last episode. Life is about perspective. Do you know what I mean? And when you're dealing with constant life or death, then it puts things into reality. We also have certain genetic makeup, and that certain genetic makeup of most of society, well, society has been built around that. So we become soft. And we also become, well, very controlled about say the next 4 years. It's parts connected to the farmer gene. So when we start to understand that we want safety constantly, and the entrepreneurs of the world have a different genetic makeup. Those are the world champions, the Spartans. Those are the actual knights. They have different genetic makeup, and because of that different genetic makeup, those are the people that go out into the world slaying and building and creating. But most of society has a different genetic makeup, and that genetic makeup, it's softer because it's more long-term thinking. So if society's been built around that, then we get taken away like the McDonald's of death, right? About what life really means, because it's not as precious. We don't have as much connection with it because it's softened again, if that makes any sense.
So after we went to these epic burial grounds, we went to Akergill Castle, and this is actually where I spent my 40th birthday.
Yeah.
And let me tell you. So first of all, Andy and the people that we were with did an amazing job of making my birthday just the most epic day ever. But this castle...
Hey, you were away for about 4 days.
This is true.
Actually, you've been away for a month.
I'm still celebrating my birthday now.
Were you for a month?
I had about 5 different cakes, blew out candles about 10 different times. It was
you had
definitely
carrot cake
good.
for breakfast.
I did. I even had a cake one time at 7 a.m. in the morning, but it was carrot cake, so that's sort of healthy, right? There's a vegetable in there. So anyways, we went to Akergill Castle, and this is where we spent my birthday, and oh my goodness, I cannot begin to tell you how beautiful this place is. It's right on the edge of a cliff, right on the ocean. If you guys look up Orkney Island, that's almost as high up as where we were. So we were in Wick. Yeah, we were in Wick, which is just almost, you can't go any further unless you go out to the island.
4 hours away from Glasgow if you just kept going straight in a car, which we did. And then it truly is the best castle, completed castle, working castle that I've ever seen.
Well, put it this way, our toilet, this is funny that I'm telling you guys about the toilet. So the toilet in our hotel room, well, the suite we had, was literally in a turret. So Andy and I walk into the room, and first of all, it was just breathtaking. The views were breathtaking views. And then we go into the bathroom area. We see the shower, we see a tub. It's all beautiful, but we're like, where the hell's the toilet? And we open a door, and it's inside of a turret. So I don't know how do you explain that? Just like a little dome that's stuck out on the side of the building. So when we went outside, we were like, oh my gosh, that's our room. That's our toilet. It's sticking outside of the building.
It was pretty cool. It was like, I don't know if it was like...
I think it's where they like shot the arrows or something. Like,
oh yeah. See, I wasn't talking about that. I was talking about I think it was the wedding suite or the or the presidential suite or something. They hooked us up, which was good because it was for a birthday. So it was crazy to walk around and well, actually, we didn't even say like heads on the walls everywhere in these places. Every castle we went to, they have heads on the wall.
He's talking about animal heads.
Yeah, not people. Not
like deers, and there was a zebra or a zebra, as Andy would say.
Zebra, love.
Okay, zebra.
Zebra.
And things like that. So that night we had this amazing dinner inside, you guys, of this. I can't even explain it. What would you even call that room? Like that we had our dinner in with the fireplace, and it was just paintings everywhere.
That's the main. That was like the main dining room where like the whoever the hell owned the Duke of Argyle.
No, it's Ackergill. We also went to Argyle, so that's why he's going to get confused.
But see, I'm the tourist, but not the tourist, right? But that was like the banquet hall.
Yeah, so it was just absolutely incredible, beautiful, amazing, candle lit, just everything you can imagine that a castle would be. So after we ate, we went down to the beach area, and what really struck me was how quiet and desolate, and I don't know if desolate sounds negative, it's just absolutely, if you look to the right, you look to the left, the only thing that's there is this castle. It's just acres and acres and acres of emptiness. I think you could see a small village way far in the distance over the ocean, but the stars were so beautiful. It was just the amount of quietness that there was. You don't realize when you're in a city how much noise and noise pollution and light pollution you're surrounded by.
Sure.
And so the peace and calm of Scotland in general, you guys, was just incredible. The vibrational energy so high. So that was
spoke about this on the previous podcast, actually, about so if you haven't checked that previous episode, I'll go and check it out. 212. I've got quotes from everyone in there. But it talked about a little Scotland trip in there. It's just calm. It's like it is a different country. You feel it's a different country. Wales feels a different country. Scotland 100% feels a different country. It might be in the UK, like England, Ireland, Scotland, Wales, but it feels so different. It looks
completely different.
It does. It's like British Columbia.
So I've never been there, but the pictures that I've seen, it's just, if you could just imagine little gingerbread houses in the middle of nowhere where you're wondering, where do you even get anything? What happens to you if something bad happens? Or where's the nearest hospital? What are you guys doing out here?
Yeah,
just in the middle of nowhere. And they literally look like little storybook houses, and they have to plant trees on the sides of their homes to block out the wind so that, it's just, it's a harsh environment, but a gorgeous environment.
And that's the thing about you Scots, and I know you like it. It's like, it's tough. It's like handling it is tough. And we'll tell you about that when we went to Loch Ness in a minute, and some guy who was outside and how tough this dude was.
It was really funny.
Yeah, but it was a beautiful castle. The thing you got to understand about castles is that they're just, I don't know. It's like you owning the biggest mansion overlooking Miami. That's what it was back in the day. But and then this big mansion is on the edge of the water. Yeah, and it's so cold.
Yeah, it is very cold.
It's so cold. It blows your mind how cold.
Well, and you just imagine, we were there in October. That's still balmy. There were people, you guys, in shorts and tank tops. I saw a girl in a belly shirt.
Geordies and Scots. Tough as you get. And Irish, of course.
So basically, they're still milking summertime. So this is still their balmy sort of weather where they can still stand to wear shorts and things.
Last time I was there, my uncle, he's from Liverpool, but again, just gets so used to that weather that I swear on my life, I was shivering, like proper shivering, like chattering teeth, like pain. And he's in a t-shirt sweating and just gives me his coat. It's like different levels. People don't know nothing until you've experienced it. Same with these countries. Everyone's so desensitized now because they see everything on TV and movies that they think that they know the place. You think you know Thailand? You don't know Thailand until you've been, right? You don't know Scotland until you've been. You don't know Florida, California, Australia. You don't know these places until you've been. They feel different. The attitude's different. The subtle mannerisms are all different, but you don't really see that, unless you're there.
But you know what's so funny? One of the things that we learned about being in Scotland is that the people there actually like the fact that everybody thinks it's so inhospitable, the temperature, because it keeps people away.
Yeah, they don't want them there.
Yeah.
And that's why it remains so beautiful.
So after Ackergill Castle, right, we had an epic night there, and then we hopped in the car and drove down to another castle. I've been to so many castles since I've been here. It's kind of incredible.
More castles. Yeah, there's many castles I've ever been to.
So basically, then we went to this place called Dunrobin Castle, which is another castle, and this one looked like a Swiss chateau, only on steroids.
Oh, this is crazy.
It absolutely enormous, and we were able to tour the castle, but only like maybe a fourth of the castle.
Yeah, you can't stay there overnight.
Yeah, you can't. It's just it's
like
only open to the public. Yeah. So I think even part of it is somewhere where somebody lives. Even I think
if they do, that's a nice place to live, man. If you think of like a French chateau, the most incredible one,
but like
straight
on
out
steroids,
of straight out of Disney.
Yes, it looks like a Disney castle, but even the Disney castle, because I live in Florida, so I've been to Disney, so it's about, I would say, 5 of those or 10 of those.
I was talking about the ones in the cartoons, but you were actually talking about the actual physical castle.
Well, no, but that is from a cartoon. Yeah, they just built one.
That's true.
So basically, this thing, you guys, oh my gosh, so we toured the house. We learned a lot about the people who live there. Again, lots of animal heads. I think it used to be in the Victorian era. They turned it into a hunting lodge.
It was mental. Yeah. I'm standing there, and
they had skins. And,
there's this one, like the hallway, not the hallway, I suppose as you're going up the steps, pretty awesome steps. But then you go in, and I'm standing there, and I took a photo, and there was 14 heads. And I'm just like,
well, and there was cheetah skins, just things back in the day. Like all of this stuff is illegal. It's illegal now.
Skins, yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, I think a lot of this stuff is illegal poaching now. But
it better be.
Back then, it was a free for all.
You can't be really chopping up lions these days and sticking them on the floor.
I don't even know what's illegal, but it needs to be illegal.
No,
so,
that's
anyways,
illegal.
There was tons of all of that stuff, and like they had just tens of thousands of these old books in libraries. But anyways,
yeah, that was the thing too, right? The library books was insane. What about the ladder?
Oh yeah.
That was the best invention ever.
They had this ladder. I don't know if we're going to butcher the explanation. It's something you have to see visually, but basically it looked like a tube, almost like PVC pipe, but obviously not pipe. It was made out of wood. And then you slid it to the left, and boom, it was a ladder.
Yeah,
and then you slid it to the right, and it was just a little tiny wooden thing. Yeah.
So what I forgot to say in the last castle, and a continuing feature of awesome castles, is snooker tables. I'll say it again, snooker tables.
And if you're an American like me, you'd say snooker tables.
No. What you said originally, you came to me, you read it. This is like a year ago. And you went, what snooker? What snooker? It's not snooker, love. Snooker, love. It's snooker.
What's snooker?
It's like pool, but for men.
My gosh, please. Women can play it too, ladies.
Oh, they're good, man. They beat me. But so the thing about that is we in the original castle for a birthday.
Ackergill.
Yeah, we there was all these different rooms. There was like the music room. There was piano there. There was
the smoking room.
You're not allowed to smoke in there, which is fair enough. But it's also there was a snooker room. So after we'd done dinner and stuff, and on Steph's birthday night, we were actually running around and we played this game of snooker. Now, if you've never seen snooker, do a little Google. Compare it next to a pool table. It's like about 4 times bigger, right?
It's huge.
It's so hard. And unless you're skilled, it's just a nightmare. You suck.
I would say the game takes about 10 hours.
We made our own rules constantly, and it was just ended up just hit a ball and get it in, and you get a high five. You know, it was that was what it was. But then we went to this other castle with all the heads, right? This big one.
This one's Dunrobin.
And my point was, you realize that we weren't even playing on a full-size snooker table because they had one there which was covered, and it was even bigger. So that was my point.
Because it's a castle, so the castle's vast, so they have plenty of room. So the castle we went to was probably about, will you say like half the size of Dunrobin Castle?
Oh, no, not even half.
Okay, so it was a little bit less than that. It was enormous.
The castle that we're talking about was massive.
Well, yeah, they were both enormous, but Dunrobin Castle is just absolutely ridiculously huge.
That's 3 castles in a row.
Yeah. So far, and then there's even one here in Chester.
Yeah, so if you just keep getting confused of what castle's what, I'm getting confused of what castle's what.
Don't worry, I know which castle we're talking about. This one's Dunrobin, the biggest one.
Okay,
so the coolest part about Dunrobin Castle, besides that it looks like a Disney film, and besides that the grounds, it's right on the ocean, and the grounds open up to the ocean, and it's manicured to perfection.
Yeah, it's crazy.
I can't even begin to tell you how beautiful it is.
There's photos around.
Yeah, there's photos. But one of the coolest things about this place was that they have a falconry, I guess, well, they have a falconry exhibit, but they just have a falconry system?
I don't know what it is. They got loads of birds, right? And it's cool. And
loads of falcons.
Yeah. Well, not just falcons, right? They had little different like buzzards and hawks and...
I don't know.
Yeah, they had buzzards and hawks. That's what they were talking about. They were trying to show you the difference.
They had hawks, but I don't think they had
trying to show you the difference, right? That's what they were. Do you know the difference between buzzards, hawks, and eagles?
And faggles.
Faggle? Like a fraggle?
It's like a fraggle, but mixed with a falcon.
No, it wasn't. But the point is, I always had a negative association with these, with anything like that, because, it's birds in captivity, and to be honest, no bird should be in captivity, but they shouldn't be. But then when they start talking about falconry being like about 4,000 years old, they've got records, it starts to, and we're in a castle, you start to have to open your mind to look at things differently. Perspective shift, right? And so, okay, I'll be present with this as I've got my hood over my head and got my eyes just poking out because gloves on, scarf on. It's cold, man. We're sitting outside. And then the guy's pretty cool. I'm sure the Scottish people didn't like him too much because he was English in a Scottish castle.
So basically, just to rewind a bit, there was a falconry exhibit that was that happened while we were there. So we went out and watched it. I think Andy and I are both really weary about anything that keeps animals in captivity, or any like zoos or any kind of animal exhibitions, or like that SeaWorld type stuff. We're not happy with. We don't like that stuff. So we were a little bit concerned, but it ended up being awesome.
It was epic. It was epic because he was explaining the history, and then he was explaining, man, this guy doesn't do anything but look after birds.
He even has them in his home.
It's crazy. That's why he was saying I don't have a girlfriend, because he's bringing all these birds home, and he's like
rehabilitating them.
Yeah, exactly. And he's had them since they were basically left from the mums, right, when they were little
or
chicks.
If they broke a wing or broke a feather. So I guess the falcons in captivity, in the wild, only I think it was like
8 years or something.
90% die, and only 10% can survive up to like 8 years or something.
And he was like 14 years old and stuff.
Yeah.
But they had a nice life. They loved this guy. They did generally, and he loved those guys, right?
Oh gosh, yeah.
And what was crazy is that you just started to see such a symbiotic relationship. It was like they were telepathic, man. They were so connected. Mm-hmm. And if you go back to the first episode of Sunday Morning Coffee, you can hear all about entanglement and connection when we were in the coffee shop. Go listen to it.
So if you guys have ever seen anything about falconry, right, or people that have falcons, you'll notice that they have these little leather hoods on their heads. Have you guys ever seen that before? And so I always thought that was kind of mean and horrible that they would do this. But what's kind of interesting is that we saw with our own 2 eyes how these birds actually love their little hoods. And
oh, yeah, they did. It was crazy. They wanted to put their heads in.
He would just hold the little hood out, and they would stick their head in like, yay, I got my hood on. And so, we were just talking about episode 1 of Sunday Morning Coffee. We talked a little bit about anchoring there. So basically, these birds have been anchored to their hoods being a safe and calm place, because it's like their little safe place. It blocks out all the sound and noise and visuals, right? So the guy said that whenever the lawnmowers come to mow the vast freaking property, they are all just like, where's my hood? Where's my hood? Somebody get my hood, because they're so freaked out by the lawnmowers, and when they put their little hoods on, they're in this quiet, safe space.
I want one. And it's also like at nighttime, right? You got your eye patch on.
Yeah.
To make sure everything's
we call it an eye patch, you guys. It's so funny because they're not called eye patches at all.
What are they?
They're called. What are those things called? The things that you wear. They're called. Well, no, that's like what a pirate wears or something.
Oh, that's the single. That's not an eye. In the UK, the thing that you sleep with, right, or you get on the
sleep mask. I think they're called.
Sleep mask on a plane, right? You get the thing, you stick it on your eyes, you can't see nothing. But also for sleep pattern and circadian rhythms, like the deep and REM sleep, putting those things on and going into complete blackout rooms is essential, man. It's essential. Yeah. So that's really what it is like for them. Except for they got little earmuffs. And
they like it, you guys. So if you were anything like us where you thought that it was kind of cruel, the other thing is too is that these birds, they're born in captivity. So this is 4,000 years old. They found these little hoods, these leather hoods that are 4,000 years old, and from ancient Egyptians and Syrians and all this stuff that were using falconry for hunting. They actually hunt. And
this guy still did, and obviously I don't eat meat, but it's a case of if you're eating that animal and you kill it, I'm all about it. That's cool. I've got no issues with that in the slightest, right? I really don't. It's like how you hunt, that's a different story. The techniques, the tactics, and what you're doing, and your ethics behind it, and your morals, and all the rest of it, that's a completely different beast. But if you're going and you're hunting, and that's your dinner, or you can go to the supermarket and get something off the shelf, well, what's the difference? Oh, the difference is you haven't killed one of them. You don't know where it's come from.
Well, and the fact is that most of us would never be able to kill something.
No, it should be a rule, right? And I know when I was eating meat, is one of the things that I stopped was because someone said to me, because they had a chicken in the back garden and they were actually going to kill it. And it was like they ate meat, and they said to me, this is an Encinitas in San Diego, California, and they would go to me, you should actually do this with us. And I was like, I'm not doing that, no way. And they give it, well, you eat chicken? And at that time I did. And I went, yeah, but I couldn't do it. And they're like, well, isn't that a bit messed up? And I was like, well, so you're prepared to eat this animal, but you're not prepared
to kill it,
to have the reality about it. So that was one of the reasons, right? And maybe it should be a rule. Maybe I should do it with like kale or something.
Killing kale. Kale killer.
Yeah, but even that's still a thing, isn't it?
Oh my gosh, you have to eat something, so you can't start feeling bad for kale too.
Sunlight.
Wow.
I want to be like a Tesla. What do they call the Tesla thing that goes on the roof?
I know what you're talking about.
What's it called?
Solar panel.
No, not so. Yeah, it is a solar panel. Yeah, but Tesla tile.
Oh, a Tesla tile. So you just want to have a bunch of Tesla tiles on your back that feed you energy?
That'd be good. I'd like that. I'd like that.
Well, back to falcons, right?
Yeah,
so we went from Tesla tiles and killing animals to back to falconry. Anyways, we had a different perspective. We left there with a different perspective. The birds actually loved being there. They played. It was like a game to them.
It was a little game to them. Imagine like your dog or your cat really, right?
Playing fetch and with like mice.
Because you're spinning those, the cat toys where you've got it on a, like, you dangle it and it runs after it, or you spin it around and then you throw it and then it's like and
it thinks it's killing a mouse or something. Yeah, that's what it was doing.
That's what they were doing. That's what they were playing.
And the guy made these crazy contraptions to simulate different rabbits, and like it was just kind of interesting to see. I wish that we could have talked to this guy, honestly.
He was hardcore.
Because his level of commitment to this craft and these birds was kind of impressive.
The history and the culture of it, and it's like interesting. Is it all messed up? Yeah, but are those birds going to eat something anyway? Yeah.
Well, and they were born in. That was where I was going with that whole 4,000-year-old thing. Is that this has been going on for so long that there's just so many birds being born in captivity now that it's absolutely impossible for them to survive in the wild. That's just how it is.
Well, and there was also one of the hawks or falcons. Sorry, was the fastest bird in the world.
Mm-hmm.
and he was showing us it, and it was insane. These
was
are
so cool.
They're so clever. They're so precise. And what I loved about it was the guy's brain. It was just his level of knowledge was expert through the roof. And although I wasn't into the topic, his level of world classness about it, I loved it because he was so precise. He was so passionate. His belief about it was so immense, and that's what I loved about the whole experience. But
and I had even told them, I'm like, I don't care if we missed the falconry thing. I didn't really care, but then once we did it, it was like one of the coolest things we did was see that whole demonstration.
But there was cooler things after. So let's keep cranking. This is.
We have a long list.
I know, man. Let's get through this dumb list. So B&B, is that where we're going next?
Yeah. So after Dunrobin Castle, we stopped at many different pubs and such cool places.
Lots of pubs, and lots of Guinness, and lots of
chips. Lots of chips.
Chips, man.
Which are fries in the United States, but
No,
chips
they're
here.
not. They're not.
Okay, they're chips.
They're not the chips, right? Fries look like McDonald's fries.
This is true.
Chips look like big chunky bits of potato.
Yeah, they're like potato wedges. So
Right, that's a chip.
Right. So we had lots of chips, lots of different pubs, really cool pubs from 1700s.
Oh, everywhere, right? Edge of locks everywhere.
And they all have roaring fires going and stuff. So.
And they all had almond milk.
Oh, yeah. They all had almond milk, which was huge for us and very impressive.
Coffee.
Yeah, because we were exhausted from this epic adventure. So basically, after we stopped at some pubs, stopped at a couple places, we went to this B&B, right? So not an Airbnb, but an actual B&B where you just rent a room and then they make you breakfast in the morning.
Which I've had weird things about these all my life. I don't want to, we literally went to, where did we go? Charleston?
No, we went to St. Augustine.
St. Augustine.
In Florida.
And that's where the Spanish came in. So that's probably one of the oldest parts of
It's
America,
one of the oldest parts of the United States. It might even be the oldest city in the U.S.
And it's beautiful, and it's all the rest of it. It's a wannabe Chester, or a wannabe.
Yeah, it got too touristy, but it's beautiful.
But we went and stayed in a B&B there in this beautiful old house, and I'd paid, and it was expensive. And then we were in there an hour.
We were maybe in there an hour.
And I've done this with lots of hotels before.
It's kind of funny, you guys. We've left so many damn hotels.
If I'm not into it, I'm out. And they're like, what? And I'm just like, I'm out. I'll see you later. So I didn't like it because it's just not private. It's weird.
Oh my gosh, we could hear everything. And we had the suite. Andy even said, he's like, is this the nicest room you have? Yes, it is. Okay, great. We went in and it looked amazing. It was beautiful, but you could hear everything. So anyways, we have bad connotations with B&Bs because of that. But this one was different.
It was different. And by the way, I'm into suites and stuff, not because I'm trying to be fancy, but I'm obsessed with hotels. I go on my own all the time to random hotels.
It's almost like a hobby for him.
It's environments. It creates a certain environment. I love to be in these environments because I get perspective shifts. So I go hotels randomly. And this B&B, but this B&B was different, right? I think they've actually worked it out. And if this was a B&B in the middle of nowhere,
near Loch Ness, but literally in the middle of nowhere, you guys. Like the road to get to it, and his uncle has like an all-terrain kind of vehicle, and we still had to go really, really slow down this tiny road. And if another car would have been coming, I don't know what we would have done because there was nowhere to go in the middle of horse pastures and sheep pastures and all this stuff.
Sheep pastures?
I don't know what they're called. Sheep fields?
I don't know.
Tons of sheep. So anyways, middle of nowhere, but so cute and so cool. And these people have half of their house that's a B&B, but it's very, very private. It was
a big house though, so they have 4 rooms, right?
Huge house.
B&B.
Yeah, and then we slept there, and obviously we also ate at a pub for dinner, and then
that was at Loch Ness.
And that was at Loch Ness, right? We're getting to that part. So basically, when we went downstairs to eat dinner, or eat breakfast, these people did such a great job, such a beautiful job, and they themselves, it was a husband and wife, and we talked to them, and they were actually from England.
Yeah,
and
near
they
Yorkshire.
were just so kind and so beautiful and just amazing people, and I think it's because the vibrational energy of Scotland.
Maybe they were in the middle of nowhere and they didn't want to go back and visit the city. They were freaking out about it.
You should have seen their face when we even mentioned going back down to where they were from. They were like, oh my gosh, it's horrible, it's awful.
Okay, so once we've done that, I think it's time for the pinnacle of the trip. Besides the snooker, besides the castle.
I don't know. I think my favorite part still hasn't come yet.
Really? Oh, yeah, you're right. That's the finale. But wait, we're going to give you a drum roll. That's to be honest, that was the best bit of the whole trip.
So you guys will have to wait till the very end for my favorite bit.
The whole trip. And we're going to put video in the incubator group and also put it onto the... I think we need to start posting these videos onto the actual main Mindset by Design page. You know, there's 16,000 on that. So I think, we're going to do that. So we're going to start posting these pictures and videos and stuff on the main page. So if you're not part of that, go and check it out. Loch Ness. Loch Ness. Yes, there is a monster. There is. 100%. I swam with it, hung out with it.
And he rode on its back and everything.
Had a beer with it. Had a Guinness with it. Do you know why I actually covered this a little bit in the previous episode, 212? But I wasn't with Steph, right, talking about this. So would you make a Loch Ness being a Yank?
Being a Yank, well, what was the most impressive to me about it, I think, was the fact of how huge it was. Like, a monster really could be hiding in there because it's like an ocean.
What was crazy, it literally was like an ocean. You standing on the side of
waves and
that,
everything.
Yeah, full-on waves. Full-on waves. If I'd have put you there and didn't say it was Loch Ness and said that was the ocean, you 100% would have thought that was the ocean.
Yeah.
That was crazy.
It was absolutely beautiful, just pristine waters. So that was the most impressive thing about it. But I think the cooler thing is the people that we met there.
People were cool. I've mentioned it again, I'm going to repeat myself, but by the Nessie Hunter, right?
Yeah.
Go and check NessieHunter.com out. This guy is like, there's a whole story behind him. I can't even remember. I've got to interview my uncle, and we could do some rabbit holes with that for sure. But I think this guy left when he was like 20 years ago. He left.
I think it was 25.
Okay, 25.
Yeah.
But he left to go and search for the Loch Ness Monster. Like, he left, I think there was a whole story, like he left his dad's business. It was a whole big thing.
He left his business, his job, his girlfriend, his home, his family, everything,
right.
to live in this caravan, which basically, if you're in the States, that's like an RV.
Little mini RV next to the loch, and it was bizarre. It's like a permanent structure there, and it's like become like a...
it's kind of like a tourist attraction.
Yeah, it's become a tourist thing. And he makes these... To be honest, they look like they suck. They do, man. They're like these little figurines.
He makes these handmade Loch Ness monsters out of this, because there's tons of pebbles on the beach there.
Oh, that's what it is. It's the pebbles, right?
Yeah, and
well, maybe they're a bit better now. Go and check them out anyway. But he sells T-shirts, photos. But he's got this beautiful website, so he's actually made a business for himself.
Yeah, somebody's built him a badass website with tons of merch and all kinds of stuff. So I think he's doing all right now.
He's doing all right. And my uncle said that, I don't want to burst the bubble, but he said I think he spends most of the time hanging out with his girlfriend these days. But they were actually doing a documentary. They had a full camera crew right there as we were by the loch, and it was nighttime, and it was freezing
cold.
And they're recording documentary because obviously
I think this guy's pretty famous, so I think he's been in probably like 5 or 6 documentaries.
Well, it's a great one for the press and everything, right? What an easy, beautiful story. But I think he was pissed because my uncle said that they've just interviewing another guy who had been doing it for 40 years, living by the loch somewhere else. So it must be like shit.
He's like, damn it, 25 years isn't long enough.
But the point was, besides the loch being pretty damn impressive, right by it, there was, by the sign, there was a guy. He must have been, 24 or something?
He was young. Like maybe, I would say anywhere between 20 to 24, no older than that.
Just standing there, right, randomly. And I mean,
he was, you know what it was that he was curious about all the lights because there was a huge camera crew.
Yeah, there was.
And so we were checking it out, and this guy's checking it out, right? So Andy's uncle's like, hey, is there anywhere we should see around here? And he's like, I actually don't know because I don't live here. And he started to tell us all these stories about that he's heard about this guy and all this stuff.
Yeah, that's where I think he got the 40 years thing from. But he was just some random young dude, and we're like, what are you doing? And he's like, I'm camping. And I'm like, what the fuck are you you're camping?
He's camping so he could go fishing, okay? So he had ridden a bus, probably like, I don't know, 6 hours
You
or
have no
more.
idea how cold it was. You have no idea.
No, you guys. And so he says, I'm camping in a tent on the side of the lock.
I'm like, damn.
And basically, you know what, you guys, I want to tell you this because I didn't know this. Locks are just lakes. Like that's
Yeah.
what a lock is.
Gossip Gaelic.
I had no
Scottish.
idea that that's what it is. So it's a lake. If you were in the same boat as me, you're welcome. Now you know.
Americans.
So, anyways, yes, exactly. So basically, he was camping on the side of this humongous, beautiful, freezing cold lock or
So
lake.
cold.
And I asked him, I'm like, aren't you cold? He's like, no, not at all.
Not hardcore. Like, this is the thing. He had his hood up, and the hood wasn't good. The coat wasn't
Yeah,
good.
he was wearing like tracksuit.
He just looked fine, but he looked like he could swim in that lock, and I'd die within a minute. He would 100% be absolutely fine. He'd just come out, and he'd probably go and get an ice bath or something. This guy was hardcore. So he was by the lock just fishing. I'm like, man, who are you with? He goes, I got a buddy this time, but I usually just come on my own. And it's like, you go in the middle of the night, you camp on your own next to in the most freezing temperatures in the woods on your own. I was even scared to walk
And he
down
takes buses by himself
to fish.
to
Fishers are
fish.
hardcore, man. I tell you,
Yeah.
you fishermen and fisher ladies are hardcore.
Totally.
So, what else about Loch Ness? Oh, we tell you where we went. Massive industry. Again, the previous episode I talked about belief systems around all this, but it's just a huge industry around what? A belief. Actually, I recorded a video for the YouTube channel around it.
Yeah, we're going to kind of be given a teaser to videos that we both filmed about belief and the power of belief. Because basically this whole entire town has been set up around an industry that is 100% set up around belief.
Because you look at the photos and they suck.
Nobody else is going to go to this town if there wasn't happened to be the belief of this monster.
But it's beautiful.
It's gorgeous.
No, it's
But so
beautiful.
is
I
all
love the
of-
belief. It's
Yeah.
beautiful because these people live in such an amazing version of reality. These people live in such they do in a good way. I mean
Yeah,
it because
yeah.
they're excited every day. They've got passion every day. They've got like they live in like this amazing fantasy that they get to connect with people and talk to people and live in the mystical world of the Loch Ness monster. I think that's brilliant, and to be able to infect the whole of the world, that's amazing. And so we went to like the museum. There was like, what was it? I don't know, but we didn't go in.
We didn't want to pay to go in because it was
like
just
about-
kind of like,
Yeah,
what the
there's
hell
no
are we going to
point.
see in there? So, but it was all about Loch Ness, but it was really huge and amazing. This
There
whole
was submarine.
setting.
There was an old submarine there. So some dude had actually gone down in this submarine, and
Oh my God, the submarine was tiny, you guys.
And it was from like the 60s or the 50s, so you would freak out in this thing. But it's just beautiful to see this whole industry has been created by a fantasy and a belief system, and imagine what's possible in your own life, your own business, because these people are living in such an amazing world inside their head, and they get to connect with other people. Imagine if you could have that same belief about your own life, your own business, that next deal that you're closing. Imagine if you could have 100% commitment, as these people do, to searching for something that, is it real, is it not real?
A guy gave up his whole entire life for the last 25 years.
Yeah, it's a journey, right? So if you can enjoy the journey in pure fantasy and happiness, that's a beautiful journey, right? That's a beautiful life you can create. So that's what I saw about Loch Ness. They're charging crazy money for crap for tourists, right? But besides
And they have,
that,
boat tours and just everything.
my uncle will go, you know what we should do? We should create another thing in Loch Ness, and it'd be about the UFO Loch Ness, the UFOs around Loch Ness, and maybe the Loch Ness monster is an alien.
Maybe, you guys.
What do you reckon about that, right? That'd blow up, wouldn't it? Get all YouTube videos going, get all these dodgy photos. What do you reckon, right? I think it'd sell. But now, I think we're going to get to the finale. And we'll do that drum roll again. Because this was totally unexpected.
Totally unexpected.
So, what would you think if we went to a supermarket and then got some carrots? we think we're eating carrots, right? Or we're going to do what? What do you think we do with carrots?
We had no idea what the hell they were doing.
Soup?
So basically, the people who we were with went and stopped and bought huge amounts of carrots. And we were like, okay, we'll see what we're doing. And then we started to drive down this path that was in the middle of nowhere, but so gorgeous, you guys. Just rivers and ravines and waterfalls and
those
rocks.
sideways waterfalls, you know? Lots of those
sideways waterfalls, the regular kind of waterfalls. Just beautiful, absolutely pristine and gorgeous. And in order for a car to pass, which there wasn't that many cars, but in order for a car to pass, you had to pull over on the side of the road. That's how tiny the road was.
But there was only like specific points that you could pull over, right? And it might be every like half a mile or so.
Yeah, there was like a big enough spot, because otherwise you'd fall into a huge ravine.
But then we started driving and I was watching and looking at all this beautiful scenery, this rugged, deserted, incredible mountains like Ben Nevis we passed and all of these incredible things. And then what happened?
So then we pull over, and all of a sudden, we get these bags out, the bags of carrots. And you know how carrots come in plastic bags? So they kind of made the noise of the plastic bag, like rattled it, and all of a sudden, this huge herd, you guys, not just like 2 or 3, but probably, what do you think, like 10, 15?
Oh, yeah, loads.
Of deers come trotting up to us, wild deers.
Completely wild, and they're big.
And there were babies and everything, like little babies with them.
Full on family. And so now we're surrounded by these probably 4 or 5 foot tall deer, and they're obsessed with eating carrots. They knew that. They knew that noise, that sound of the bag for sure. This wasn't their first rodeo, but there wasn't many people, I don't think, who knew about it. So it was mind blowing.
It was totally mind-blowing, and they just ate right out of your hand, and it was like the coolest thing. That I went to castles, I went to, saw falconry, I saw all these things, yet feeding these deers, I think, was the best part of my whole entire trip. It just brought me so much joy. I wished that I had about 20 bags of carrots to feed these things.
And then we were standing there, and we were just about to get back in after like 10, 15 minutes, and we hear this...
Again, we have to post videos in the group so that you guys can see this with your own 2 eyes and hear this with your own 2 ears.
On the page, we'll post it on the page.
Yeah, so basically the stag comes, right? The stags are the males with the huge horns. And I guess there's one stag for every like 20 females, because essentially, totally, he's like, these are my bitches. But anyway, so basically he comes up and he is pissed off because there's another stag. But the funny thing is that the other stag was miles away.
He was miles away. I couldn't even see him.
He was way up in the mountains, you guys, but this stag was like, stay away from my ladies.
He was. And but we were like worried because it's like rutting season, as they call it. And he came over, but he just wanted some carrots. But all these girls had eaten all these carrots.
Yeah, there was no more carrots left. Yeah, but he was over there trying to fight off the other male.
Yeah, the male
that was miles, you guys.
I couldn't see him. I could hear him, but I couldn't see him.
So they were yelling back and forth at each other, and it sounds like a yell. Like you can see his little tongue sticking out, and he's just yelling at the other stag.
It's really cool, but to be like next to them, I've said literally so many times. I've been around my niece, and she says basically and literally.
I know, I've been saying it a lot too.
Basically, and so that's where this is coming from. And when I go that's so Liverpool. I'm just being back here. So that was pretty amazing, and again, you're just in the middle of nowhere, connected with raw nature, and what you realize is that everything just wants to be friends. Like the people that you meet who in the middle of nowhere, they just want to be friends. The stags and the deer, they just come up and automatically trust you. They just want to be friends. Everything's interconnected, and if you're sitting in this coffee shop, again, I go back to everybody's default setting, genetic makeup is to connect. So when we can start going traveling and we can start understanding in sales and business and even being out in a bar and looking for a partner or wherever you go and understand that every single person wants to connect, it's simply the safety mechanism that they put up, like the gloves up or the shield up before to make sure they're safe. But as soon as you get past that, everybody wants to be friends, and everybody's really nice, right? And so it's the same with these animals. Imagine if we could be in that frequency. Imagine if we could be that way with everyone, that calmness, that trusting. And if we could be that with ourselves, how much would your business grow if you trusted yourself?
And then the final thing that I just want to say is, again, we can take this back to anchoring. And we talked a little bit about anchoring in the last episode 1 of the Sunday morning coffee.
Saturday night breakfast.
Sunday morning coffee. Basically, these deers were anchored to the sound of that bag.
Definitely.
As soon as they heard that rattle of the bag, they started just running up to us like crazy. So imagine what it is in your life that you're anchored to.
An anchoring being a trigger response, a stimulus response, something, a sound, a smell, a taste, a belief, internal, external, whatever it is, that's you creating an emotional response in you or a reaction in you. That could be the past, the future, anything like that. That's what an anchor is. So that bag was connected to them for safety, food, and
nice people.
People, right? Because you're not getting people in the middle of Scotland, in the middle of nowhere, that you have to drive about 8 hours into the distance, and then someone's not attacking them, right?
So that is it, you guys. I hope you enjoyed our recap of our trip to Scotland. It was absolutely amazing, and I hope you enjoyed it.
And there you go. So we're playing around with the Sunday morning coffee. It's I don't know. Is it different? Is it good? I had massive good feedback from it, and I hope that you love it. We're going to keep these episodes coming out. Obviously, me and Steph, we travel a lot and we're away from each other sometimes, but we're going to try and see how we can do these, if it's in person, over Zoom, and we'll see how it is. We're up to 213 episodes now, so we've been doing this a while. So I thought I'd introduce some fun new features, including an incubator group. Guess what I put in there? Yeah, I've just done called the Laboratory, the Mindset Laboratory. I'm looking at doing them once a month. There's so many cool things coming out. So make sure you check episode 212 out, as well as this one. Go and share it. Give us some feedback about the Sunday morning coffee. And much love. Anything you want to say, Steph?
Definitely. I had so much fun hanging out with you guys again. Can't wait to do it again. Bye, guys.
We'll see you in the next episode.
Thanks so much for listening to today's episode of the Mindset by Design podcast with your host and NLP expert, Andy Murphy. We'll catch you next time.